not my workshop. What is this? This is a blueprint for a hand link. Why would I be making a hand link?
Train to the plastic underground. Approaching the station. Please stand away from the platform head. Alright, so even in this futuristic lab, I guess, I still have access to EVA foam. So that's what I'm going to use this week to make this hand link. There's lots of videos and stuff where people have made this out of acrylic and put LEDs in it, and I just didn't have the time or wanted to spend the money and figure all that out. So I wanted to show you guys how to do this in a cool way, cheap way, and you can put it up on your shelf and you know what it is from a distance, and it's kind of one of those cool pop culture things. So that's basically what I did. So I'm just using some 5mm foam here, cutting out the base of the template, and then I cut out all these different sections here. So there's a 2mm for the base, and then I have some 5mm is the tan foam, and then some 10mm foam is the other white pieces of foam up there. So just laying down a base of contact cement on the base, and then a little bit onto the 2mm top part. So then you can kind of glue that in place. I pre-marked everything before I glued it, just so I could put the glue in the correct spots, and also it helps me line everything up when I glue everything together. So then I can go ahead and I can start putting the rest of these 5mm pieces on. The blueprint really kind of explains where all this stuff goes. And so yeah, that's just basically what I did. I just went off the blueprint for where the placement of everything went and the color of everything later too. And so one of those things that I would recommend if you make this is to cut everything out and reverse it and put it on the back, so the back also has some shape and dimension to it, and it's not just flat on the back like mine. But like I said, I'm going to put this up on the shelf, and you're only going to see it from the front, so I wasn't worried about making the back look like anything special. In fact, I didn't even paint it. So yeah, but if you want to carry this around a con or something, I would just double up on all these shapes and just glue them on the back, or just make different shapes for the back the way that you want. So that's what I recommend. For me, this was done, but it was a little bit too thin. So I just glued another 5mm sheet of foam on the back, just to make it 10mm altogether, and just kind of stiffened it up a little bit so it's not as flexible. So yeah, I just glued that in place first, and then I'll go around and trim off all of the excess. And again, so you can see, you could just make this twice and then stick that to stick both backs together, and you would have like a doubled up hand link. So yeah, I think that would look cool. If I were to remake this, I would do that. So just moving that tip on to you guys. So what I'm going to do here is using my heat gun just to seal up all the foam. And I think I also made a couple score cuts just to kind of separate some of these panels that needs to be heated up. I have a ton of these little foam rivets that I have cut out of foam. So I'm just putting some glue on here and sticking those in place with a little pair of tweezers. And you can see on my phone here, I'm also looking at kind of like reference images just to kind of see where these little parts go. These are little gold or brass like rivets. I think they hold the thing together. So yeah. So using the same copper pipe that I used to cut out these little rivets, I'm going to use that now and cut into the foam all these little circles. These are going to be everywhere that the screws go to hold the hand link together. I think there's only 4 of them. Then I'm using this new trick here where I have a Phillips bit and I am holding that into my heat gun for a little bit. And then I'm pressing that into the foam in the middle of that circle. And this kind of melts in that hex pattern and makes it look like a screw. So yeah, that kind of worked pretty good, and that looks kind of cool. Now I give this thing like good 3-4 coats of Plasti Dip, and then I give it 2 coats of this base white paint. I wanted everything to be white because I wanted the backing of the hand link to be white, but also all these bright colors I'm painting on top, I wanted them to have a white surface to paint on so that I didn't have to paint so many coats on. So starting with some yellow. This is just some regular yellow craft paint, and I'm just brushing that on. I brush on the top, then I make sure I also brush in the sides of any of these panels that you will see. And I only brush those down to the base layer. So it just gives it like a good separation and a little bit of depth. Alright, now we'll just use a little bit of pink here, and the same steps for this, just painting all the sides and the fronts in every spot that you're going to see this color. Again, you can see I'm using this blueprint here to the right. This is the same blueprint I used to cut everything out and figure out where all the squares need to be. These are all labeled pretty well. The one thing that I did is I used a, oh man, wow, my brain just went blank. Wow, okay, yeah, colored pencils, yeah, that's it. I used colored pencils to color in these squares on the blueprint just to remind myself of what every color was supposed to be at a glance. This blueprint, I also made this blueprint available for you guys in a color if you want to print it out in color out of your printer. I just didn't want to waste the ink, so I just colored it by hand. But that's a really handy tool to just keep looking at while you're doing this, because it can get kind of confusing. And so yeah, so that's what I did for you guys. But yeah, so basically I'm just going to go through and just going to paint all these colors the same way that they are on the blueprint. So yeah, then I go through with a little bit of black, and I just paint in these screws, basically just painting the screw heads black, just to make them stand out. And adds a little bit of extra depth to the overall build. Then what I do is I use a little bit of gold here, and I'm just going through and I'm painting all of these little rivets that we glued in place, painting all of those gold. And then this centerpiece here gets painted gold. I've seen a couple reference images where this centerpiece is gold, and some of them it's not. So I decided just to paint it gold. I thought it looked cool and give a little bit of extra color to it. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Alright, so that is how I made this thing. According to my blueprints, it was called a hand link for Project Quantum Leap. I have no idea what that is, but I made it all out of EVA foam. And yeah, that's it for this week. Hope you liked it.
Hey!
Ah! Who are you?
Who are you?
What is that thing?
This is a hand link.
What does it do?
It helps me talk to Ziggy.
Ziggy?